Good morning. This is Angela with Parker's Permaculture. I am obviously not out in the garden today. I wanted to do a really quick update. It's Sunday morning, and that means it's been 3 days since I had risk-reducing surgery. And so I'm resting and recovering at home, and I'm not actually going to be able to do heavy lifting or digging or strenuous garden work for a month, which I'm a little stressed about. But I wanted to give you all a quick update about how things are going and what kind of the plan is going forward. First off, let me say thank you to all of the many people who left kind and encouraging words and well wishes for my recovery. I want to let you know that everything went really well. It was an easy outpatient surgery with no complications. The surgery was at 10:30 in the morning, and by 1 in the afternoon, they were discharging me and booting me out the door. I don't know if it's like this in other countries, but in America, you get very little time to rest and recover in the hospital because it's all about the for-profit medical machine, right? And so our society is so much like go, and those cogs got to keep turning that they get you out of there real fast. And they were basically like, hey, if you get home and you can't pee, if you get home and you have other problems, just come back and go sit in the ER and we'll treat you there. Whereas in the old days, you would have maybe stayed overnight in the hospital. And from what I've read in other countries, you often stay overnight in the hospital so they can kind of keep an eye on you, make sure that everything is going well before they discharge you. In the United States, healthcare is not really like that anymore. I know when my kids were born, they tried to, when my eldest child was born, I was discharged from the hospital 24 hours after she was born. And by the time my fourth kid was born, I stayed less than 24 hours. So yeah, American healthcare. I could go on a whole rant about that. That's totally separate from this. I do want to say my insurance covered this surgery. So for those of you who didn't watch my older video, my mother had a rare kind of ovarian cancer, and my sister has ovarian cancer. And so I needed to get my ovaries and fallopian tubes out as soon as possible as what is known as risk-reducing surgery. It's basically prophylactic surgery, where if you no longer have your fallopian tubes and ovaries, your chance of ovarian cancer is reduced by between 95 and 97%. There's a lot of data showing that ovarian cancer begins in the fallopian tubes and grows very slowly there. That's why they take everything. So easy laparoscopic surgery. I won't obviously show you incisions. I have 3 sets of incisions. There's cameras, and then obviously where the surgeon removes organs. I'm feeling pretty darn good. I'm handling the pain quite well on Tylenol and ibuprofen. We now know that when you have surgery, it's good to be up and ambulatory as quickly as possible. So I'm up and I'm walking the house a lot. I'm not supposed to walk a lot. I'm not supposed to walk down the street and back, but I'm supposed to get up and walk around the house. So I try every hour or two to get up and do a few laps and move around, stay mobile. The hardest part for me so far has been the fact that, when you get your ovaries removed, then you have instant medical menopause. So it's like a huge hormone crash. I am taking a low dose of estrogen, but it's just enough to try and protect my bones from osteoporosis and protect my heart from heart disease. So my body is experiencing this sudden estrogen crash, and it is wild. I feel a little bit deranged. So that can go on for several months, and it'll be interesting to see how I manage that. But overall, everything's super successful. Everything went very smoothly. My family is here taking care of me. My husband has the opportunity to take some paid sick days. This week is spring break, and he's a high school teacher. And I know you've probably heard me rant about this before. School breaks for teachers are unpaid furlough days. So he has unpaid vacation this week. Teachers are compensated for the days that they work. So spring break, summer, winter break, all of those are unpaid leave. So he's off this week, and then he's taking a few sick days at the beginning of next week in order to help me out. I'm not allowed to drive for 2 weeks. And so he's going to help with getting, Ruth to some of her college classes and things like that. So that's sort of the update for how I'm doing. I'm spending a lot of time in bed knitting and watching documentaries and watching some South Park with my teenagers, and generally chilling out. It's really hard for me to sit and be still. I think that's the hardest part of this recovery so far, is not being able to lift things, not being able to be active, not being able to go on my daily walk or run, not being able to work in the yard. It's really, really difficult. And part of that is my own baggage of overproductivity from, issues in my childhood or like religious baggage or what have you. But part of it is just being an American in modern American life. It's really hard to take time for yourself and rest and recover. And, I would say to my friends who've had injuries or have had surgeries that, when you are resting, you are doing things like growing new bones, growing new blood cells, you are healing. And that is actual work, even though it feels like you're not doing anything. Your body is working really hard to recover. And I think that's something that isn't acknowledged very much in American culture, because if you're not contributing toward the productivity in terms of capital and profit, are you doing anything? And the last few days I've been thinking about this a lot, and I want to talk about it a little bit more in some upcoming videos about what a permaculture reality would look like, where we can value the kind of unpaid labor, but also the kind of intrinsic work that happens, voluntarily or involuntarily in our bodies, that is completely uncoupled from a paycheck, that's uncoupled from the capitalist system. What would a permaculture system that honors the reality of that kind of work look like? And how would it differ from what we have right now? Because it's hard for me to accept, because I have so much of that external pressure of like, you got to be grinding, you got to be working, that I forget that rest is valuable and important. And even when I'm forced to, by things like, having organs removed, when I'm forced to rest, it's hard for me to honor that time and see it as valuable and important. I know intellectually it is, but I feel conflicted about that because there's such a huge pressure and drive. Maybe, I know a lot of my viewers are in Europe and in Australia, and maybe it's different for you guys where you are. Maybe you have words of sage wisdom to those of us in America who feel that pressure to always be cranking out productivity, who don't have things like, paid leave for very long. My husband and I were talking about, like, if there were complications, he'd have to take FMLA, which would be like unpaid time off work to help out, which luckily we don't have to. But even for me, anytime I'm not spending making videos, that's a loss of income. And we don't really have that kind of safety net that gives people a sense of security that allows them to just rest and recover, right? When you have a safety net, when you have a society that is structured around sustainability and around the realities that life includes, episodes of illness or injury or surgery, and episodes of recovery, episodes of depression and grief, and things for which the normal routine gets disrupted and needs to be disrupted. We don't make space for that in modern life, but those things are going to happen and do happen. So in a regenerative society, how do we make space for those things? How do we plan for them? How do we make structural changes that allow for those real human experiences that are inevitable, and support folks going through those experiences so that they aren't, additionally burdensome or stressful? I'd love to explore that topic some more. If you have thoughts or experiences, if you have a different societal structure than we have here in America, and things that work better and support communities of people and individuals and households better when they're going through difficult times, please share in the comments. I don't feel hopeless about American culture. I feel like we have the potential to change for the better, and I feel like society is always slowly progressing, but it can feel frustrating sometimes to see the ways that we could be doing better, and we could be supporting each other, we could be supporting individuals and households, and we could change the structure so that it is focused on people and the needs of people instead of the needs of profit. And we don't right now, but that doesn't mean that we can't in the future. I'm going to get back to knitting and maybe listen to a podcast or something. Thank you again for your well wishes. I have a bunch of videos that I filmed before the surgery that will be coming out over the next week or so. And then hopefully I'll be back to making more content. If you have thoughts about things you'd like me to make over the next month, while I'm not able to do really physical things in the garden, if there's topics that you'd like me to cover, things that you all would like to talk about, would like me to talk about and share about, that I can do without having to be pruning or getting on a ladder or digging holes, I would love to hear about it down below. So thank you again. I am grateful that my healthcare covered this surgery. I'm grateful that we have advanced medical technology to the point where we can help prevent cancer before it ever makes an appearance in our bodies. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to have access to that kind of treatment. I hope that you all are staying well and safe, and I'll be back really soon. Bye.
Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and please check out some of my other videos on permaculture design, social permaculture, people care, and homemaking skills. Thanks so much.